What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. So, how we're going to close out this thing here is that we got to talk about, in what my personal opinion, the GOAT. We got to talk about my favorite wrestler of all time, and that's Kurt Angle. Peacock.
I thought your favorite wrestler was Coco Beware.
Oh.
Wasn't even remotely funny. No. You just came at that.
Oh, your face.
It's fun. Her favorite wrestler is Christian, so go eat.
Hey, man, come on with that.
You did right. I'm saying.
Keep that negativity over there.
What you talking about? Sleeveless turtlenecks? You don't like that? Christian said you was the number one peep. You do like peeps.
I'm disgusted. Let's move on now.
So, they've been doing. I know A&E been doing these documentaries on the wrestlers, and they actually been pretty decent. But Peacock been doing their own special kind of documentaries, licensed with WWE Studios. Mm-hmm. They did that Cody one, and I thought the Cody one was good. Like just like you said before, flair the dramatics.
It's been an hour since you've been going, but that's too long to come back home.
Find the whole. Find the Stardust boot in the sand.
That man was in the desert looking for Brandy. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So sorry.
But this one, Kurt Angle took just a different approach. They said, we're going to just give it to you raw. And Kurt was very open about giving it to it raw. And which I was like, sometimes a lot of times when people do these kind of documentaries, and when you have to talk about yourself in truth, mm-hmm. It's hard. It's really hard for us as human beings to do that. To basically admit when you was wrong and admit that you really brought pain to a lot of people, and where people may just try to gas you up because of who you are, and be like, no man, I struggled hard.
I think that part of that, I can't speak for this man, but I would think that part of it may come from him doing the work to actually become and remain sober.
Yeah.
Because a lot of work goes into that alone, and confronting issues and demons that you may not know you had, and maybe you do. It's not easy. But why be evasive about anything else at that point?
Great word, by the way. So y'all know Kurt Angle truly is my favorite wrestler of all time. In my opinion, he's a good. Yeah, you have The Rock. Yeah, you have Stone Cold. You have those big top names. But when it comes from me, the athletics, Kurt Angle's the number one motherfucker.
None of them won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck.
I have Kurt Angle's gold medal signed in that closet right then and there. I did. Kurt Angle came, and I was not able to go see him. I wanted to go see him the first time when he was high.
Oh.
And
that's horrible.
At Icons of Wrestling. This was years ago.
Obviously.
Yeah. This was, he was still in TNA.
Because he's been sober for, what did it say, 7 years?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this was in 2016 when I went to go see him.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went him, and he went and signed my belt. How is mine? So, the second time, when he was doing better, and I think he was still kind of working with WWE, he went to the Icons of Wrestling.
He went to Icons? He was working for WWE?
The Hardy Boys did the same thing.
You know what? You're right.
You know
they did.
Especially when they did that merging with Evolve.
Is that the one where we took the picture with him and the Double D Dupree's was behind us? Is that one?
With the Hardys?
Yeah, they were sitting behind us.
It's a possibility. If anybody can sniff out the Double D Dupree's is Chubbs. But, however, I wasn't able to go because Chubbs was hooking that thing up. But he got me because they were selling replica gold medals. So he got me a set of gold medals and had Kurt Angle sign them Jones. Them son bitches in the closet right now.
That's nice.
It is.
Good friends.
Yeah, so I was beyond ecstatic. So yes, Kurt Angle's my favorite wrestler. When I seen this documentary, I said, well, we're going to have to jump up on this. And learn a lot of, first of all, the first hour of the documentary I think is perfection in my personal opinion. The first hour is just basically talking about Kurt Angle growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's not that far from us on that show because we're here in Philly.
About 6 hours.
Yeah. So him growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, him having a house full of boys and one sister, his dad being strict, a functioning alcoholic, and a construction worker. That's
wild. And didn't they say he was in the service too?
Yeah.
That had to be a rough house.
Well, like, seriously. He said that man was telling. He said the only person that they seen his dad hug was their sister, who was the baby girl, obviously. So I'll tell you, girls do things to men. Trust me, I'm a girl dad too. So I see these things, but they focused on that, and they focused on his amateur wrestling career, the Olympic trials, and some things. And there's some things that I know because you was busy doing your hair that you missed. He got a lot of good information that was in there. They touched on the trauma. One of his first big losses was losing his dad when he was 16. When his dad being a construction worker, and he's as a functioning alcoholic as well. That he had a fall. That
sounded hard. Just the way that his brother described it, I was like, that sounds horrendous.
It kind of reminds, because these things happen kind of like even when Otis's son.
I knew you was going to say that because I was trying so hard to hold it in.
Well, when Otis' son fell 3 floors, I'm like, these things happen. Obviously, we don't hear much about them, but these things be happening, and it'd be so very unfortunate. Y'all try to make a joke out of it.
I'm not making a joke. That's not funny. It's just, what I think of as soon as you say something about his son.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was sad, and just hearing his mom demand for him to come back before they pulled the plug and say, I will be the wife you want me to be. I was like, that's
wow. That's a rough thing to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could be the doctor in that situation. It's like you sitting there waiting to pull the plug out the wall. And even if you're just out in the hallway, I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back in there right now.
It's kind of, they say it just crushed Kurt, and his sister took it very hard. Those are things that was just bothering him. But he put all his energy into football. He ended up being a good fullback. He had a good game when the school year started, but then the wrestling took over. And he was really into the amateur wrestling, got into the wrestling. And I saw this is where the meat and potatoes was when it came to Kurt Angle. And I like how he was talking about when he got, when he was coaching and the different things that he was looking for. And then he went, we got the Foxcatcher Wrestling
yes.
organization here that was run by
John DuPont of the DuPont family of Delaware.
Yes, who billionaires. Who got money,
big money. Ain't no taxes down there
at all. They just brought in the best wrestling athletes, and then David Schwartz was one of the wrestlers that they brought in.
David Schultz.
Excuse me, my apologies. David Schultz was the one they brought in. They actually made a movie.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I seen it.
Because when I seen it, I seen his name coming. I was like, I feel like I know this name. Mm-hmm. Please tell me this is not going where I think it's going. It was going where I thought it was going.
Yeah, but now just a quick question: did you even know Kurt Angle was a part of that?
No, I did not. I did not know he was a part of that. But I knew once they started talking, I was like, this man done been through all the stuff.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Already.
He ain't even 20 yet.
But David Schultz, because Mark Ruffalo played him in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's his face played
his
DuPont.
brother. Oh yeah. Well, we know.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell played DuPont. And Channing Tatum was David Schultz. His brother. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Tatum. But he was talking about how great David Schultz was as a coach. He went and learned 7 different languages so he can learn wrestling in those different cultures, so he can universally be knowledgeable about wrestling.
That is dedication.
It is. And he said one of the best coaches he had. He said that when he was teaching him some things. They were slowed down to show Kurt, and he realized that he couldn't keep up, so he had to get his conditioning up. So Kurt talked about the workouts that this man used to do, the insane workout. He would run 6 miles, then he would do 200 yard hill sprints with carrying somebody on his shoulders.
Hell no.
And then he would do 100 yard hill sprints without somebody on his shoulders. Then run back home, get on the exercise bike. Then he would wrestle for about 2 hours. He would work on technique of wrestling for 1 hour, and then wrestle different fresh wrestlers part of camp for 2 hours.
It just gets worse and worse the more you say. Like,
Yeah.
it escalates.
Like straight athlete
That's insanity.
But he called, like I said, it was exhaust training, where it's like when you get exhausted, that's when the workout begins. Because he wanted to do it. He did all that 28 days a month for a couple years to get himself
Absolutely not.
to get himself in tip-top condition to be able to do the Olympic trials and to go on to the Olympics, because he figured that when it comes to having this kind of body and even being somebody that can move like a lead by like David Schultz was that I may not be as strong as some of these people out here, but I will be. They'll get tired, and I will never get tired.
Yeah. So, doing all of that, I just guess not.
They even talked about some of his rivalry with Sylvester Turkey. For those who don't know, who was part of WWE, he was signed with Elijah Burke on the ECW brand back in 2006. So I was like, I was good bringing that up, and he talked about the little rivalry that they had and how Kurt won those matches. They also go into explaining how the Olympic trials work.
Yeah.
And
now this part I did see a little bit of.
Yeah, and talked about how when he was going against, I forgot the guy's name. I had it written on my phone, but my phone was charging. Mm-hmm. How he was going for like a rollover and trying to protect his face, being a break in his neck. They showed the clip. You can see with it, like the neck break. And he gets up and he just thinks like, he cracked or something like that, and he doesn't know what's really going on. He says he just hears all these crackings going down his neck.
Oh, like oh that. God! I'm sorry. Oh,
you alright, Ransom?
No, just yo. No, because you know how when you see something happen and you immediately, it's like you feel it in that body part. You're like, ooh, my neck. Ooh, God.
So he goes over, and then the trainer, like, kind of starts trying to crack his neck to see if it's like out of place. And he's like, he just feels shooting pain going down his spine. He said, whoa. I don't think it's gonna be feeling like that. Let's not crack my neck anymore.
No, don't make it worse.
Yeah, exactly. But see, they didn't know it was a broken neck.
I mean, obviously, but still, no, thank you.
And he said he couldn't feel anything, and that he was just trying to kind of like escape from the matchup, but he ended up winning that matchup. And then he goes to the chiropractor and gets X-rays, and he says he had 4 vertebrae.
He went to the chiropractor?
At first, and then he got X-rays to see what's going on. They was like, you know, your neck broke, right?
Bro, the way why was everybody so casual? Like, Bo was shady. He was like, listen, you gotta have a neck to break, and he ain't got no neck. And I'm like, bro, why are y'all coming at this man's neck like this? It's still broke.
Yeah, but Kurt got one of the power necks, and then
what did Stone Cold say? He had a neck like a cobra. That's wild. Are you kidding me? Like, who the fuck says that about somebody? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. He at first he didn't want to go through the final. He said, "Maybe I'll just get second and go to the Olympics as being second." But the thing is, if they explain the Olympic trials, if you don't win the Olympic trials,
you got to go through a tournament, right?
A tournament to go to the final.
You better wrestle your ass off, sir.
So he wins that one. I gets the black wrestler. I forgot what his name is. And then when they go to the Olympic trials, there's this guy that has the last name of Kane, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, if he didn't hurt you, he makes sure you remember his name. He goes after the injury. So
What in the Karate Kid?
Yeah, so he must have missed this part. So he was saying that they would shoot him up with 12 needles of Novocaine.
Yeah, I saw that because I was just like, how is this legal?
Exactly, the 90s, right?
Bruh.
So he was he couldn't feel anything, but when he was wrestling this guy, you just see the guy wrenching down his neck because everybody knew his neck was broke. And it was just
no, we gotta fight for real after this. I don't mean in the ring. I don't mean on the floor. I mean like 1-2, meet me outside.
Exactly. Now I know I jumped the gun a little bit, but I was just bringing that up because also his coach David Schultz gets killed by John DuPont, gets shot and murdered on the
because John DuPont was not well.
He wasn't at all. And they actually did that. If y'all want to see. They did a ESPN.
There's
30
the
for
movie
30.
And there's the documentary about it.
Yeah, he was not well at all, and ended up shooting and killing that man. Mm-hmm. And it was just very sad and very unfortunate.
After talking about he's not so bad, I guess he thought he was just blowing smoke. Yeah, I'm like, no, that guy, he did not seem all there.
Yeah, and you got all them guns in the property. I'm like, no, bro, I got to. I'm going next one. We going to Acme, and I ain't coming back. That's how it is.
But he found them in the driveway, though. Like, it's not even like they were having some kind of active altercation. He just rolled up to his house. Horrible. I'm sorry. But yes, he was murdered by John DuPont.
Yeah, and so they already put a very hurt on Kurt Angle because that was his coach, and that was... It was by training him, and Nancy, his wife, because Kurt said, "Take me off the Fox Country program. I don't want that blood money."
Yeah, as that. I think I would have been like, it's hard to say what you would really do in that situation, but I feel like I would feel the same and be like, I don't think I want to be a part of this because this seems
exactly. But Nancy got wind of it, and which is David Schultz's wife, and she was. Great. And she said we got some other companies that's looking as a sponsor. It's going to be for the Olympics, and we want to create the David Schultz Wrestling Club, and we want you to be the first member. And Kurt,
and he did it,
and he did it. So yeah, so that's how involved Kurt Angle was involved in this whole Fox Country thing. Believe it or not. But now you go back to fast forward to the Olympics when he had to go face this Iranian guy, big Broly guy, and they was dead tight. In this matchup, it went like a little bit like overtime. Overtime in amateur wrestling, I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm just being out with you. I don't know what that is. But
I don't either.
It isn't. But
I learned more about like actual like wrestling in this than I think I've ever seen anywhere. I had no idea how any of this worked.
Yeah. So with that being said, he goes and then he gets him down the mat and wins the gold medal. And it was good. Like, you know, it was emotional. You see him win the gold medal. Like, and Kurt takes that thing very seriously. And I don't blame him. Shit, you know what? It's kind of like, you know, with Carmelo Anthony was saying, like, you know, I ain't win no championship, but I got that gold medal at the house. And I'm like, you know what? Especially after seeing USA basketball losing in the FIBA to qualify.
Get murked.
Yeah, like,
I'm so sorry. That was not...
So I'm just like, yeah, you know what? That don't look. You know, I would like to have a gold medal, being that tip top athlete, but
and it's not just a gold medal. It was a gold medal with the neck and that's just, whew, that's a lot.
Yeah. So now he's figuring out like what to do, but then he goes and catches out WWF at the time, and Vince actually gives him a call and wants to sign him. Now, they didn't say this in the documentary, but due to research, they wanted to sign him to a 10-year, $5 million contract where he would make $500,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a year, and then it'll end up being $5 million. So he turned it down. Mm-hmm. And now the funny thing is, Mark Henry didn't turn his down because Mark Henry got that. Mark Henry is a silver medalist. He didn't win gold; he won silver. But Vince loves his American Olympians, so they offered Mark Henry a 10-year, what was $3 million? Somebody that made a contract with it was that he got paid $250,000 a year, and he took that.
Ooh.
Kurt like, no, I'm not taking that. But then he started really watching. The guy, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, said, "Hey, I'm sitting right there. These guys making money doing all this. Why can't I do that?" So he even called Vince back and said, "Hey, is that deal still on the table? I can come back and do that?" Or he called JR, and JR said, "No, you gotta try like everybody else."
Jesus.
So Kurt Angle tries out, and
That's rough.
Yeah, I mean it is, but he turned it down. He turned it down, but then he comes in, and I remember that debut thing with Taz. Now when it comes to the WWE part, it kind of like compressed this thing.
They did very much.
Yeah, they compressed like his debut and stuff that he was and how he was as a character. He picked it up very very fast and all that stuff. They did all that. They did all that stuff. They didn't really want to get to like drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they was like, we need a nice section at the end for the drugs.
Yes. Excuse me. There was a thing where it's just like, hey, 2003, he is on Brock Lesnar's back on No Way Out, and Brock Lesnar runs him to the corner. You see his neck snap, and you see that he broke his neck. He found a doctor, Steve Austin's old doctor, I believe it was, that was able to like remove the damaged vertebrae and let the neck heal. But Kurt will come back in like a couple months, and then Brock Lesnar hit him with a chair. He broke his neck again. Third neck break, the second one WWE. Does the same kind of surgery again. Mm-hmm. Comes back, WrestleMania 20. Mm-hmm. Eddie Guerrero gives him a DDT. He breaks his neck again.
Bro, like.
And then he does the same thing again and comes back. And then a match of Randy Orton, I believe it was, and breaks his neck a fourth time.
Bruh.
4 neck breaks in 2 years.
I'm not ever going to say something to like. I don't have the right language here, but I want to say justify being on prescription drugs, like addicted to them. But my God, on today, if I broke my neck 4 times in 2 years, no, bro. I'm popping everything like candy. That sounds horrible.
It was horrible, and funny you brought up the candy part, but he was, and Vince McMahon was just like, no, you take time off, okay, to get this done the right
Please.
way. But the fusion neck surgery takes a while because Austin was out for a year, and Kurt didn't want to be out for that long, so he was just popping pills. The Vicodin and stuff like that. Vicodin, excuse me. He would take 4, then after a month later, it boosts up to 8. And then just keep adding to it so you can just be able to feel because your body's going to build that tolerance for it. Yep. To the point where, to cut a long story short, the man was up to 65 pills a day.
He said he's buying 1,300 pills a month?
Yes. And had his little Mexican connect, had the drug dealers and sitting there and put like the money aside. I need the $1,500 to get these pills. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Like he said, he had a schedule for when he would call people to get refilled prescriptions. I'm like, my God, like this is a full-time job.
It is. To the point where he said that Vince said he had to go to rehab, and then he said he quit. Now, the more behind the scenes on that is, Vince McMahon was like, I'm not going to have a dead Olympic gold medalist die on WWE's watch. You got to go.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Vince's not going to be that settled. So then, he didn't believe he had a problem. He went to Dixie Carter and TNA.
And they took him, okay. This speaks to what Prime was saying earlier. Part of this is y'all's fault. If you take people who are currently, like, visibly on something and let them go work.
Yeah.
How dumb.
I mean, it is, but then, like I say, if he would take it up to be fuck shit, but then, well, once again, his personal life in TNA was a debacle. He got divorced. He was on the perks. His look just looked completely different. He just changed.
He did.
Bad.
He did not look like himself at all.
I mean, there's some. If you type in perk angle, which has been a meme going around, and you type in images, you can see like some of the shit looks scary. It actually looks quite scary, but his in-ring work never suffered.
I don't want to say commendable. Like, I don't want to say that, because don't do that. But that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, he still had excellent matches with AJ Styles and Jeff Jarrett and Abyss, and he was still doing great stuff. In the 11 years that he was there, still had an awesome body of work, and his body of work never suffered. But he was just bad off going out TNA, and then now he started mixing the pills with alcohol, which is, to me, just crazy. And then started getting DUIs, and Kurt Angle was just bad off, and his wife.
That man was crying on the television. I'm like, stop crying and just get it together.
Hey, yeah, he wasn't the only one, because his sister had a drug problem, and she went through 3 failed marriages. She was going through a lot also, and especially seeing her dad die like in the way that he did die. That I know that probably didn't help the problem at all. And
I was thinking that same thing. I was like, the way they described how she reacted when the dad passed, I was like, this had to be like the impetus. Like, this had to be what made her say, I can't.
I just can't just stay here and tolerate this. And she was.
Didn't you say it was like 3 bad? Imagine that. Like, you lose your dad, and then you go through 3 bad marriages. That's like, crazy.
That's a lot. She was in debt. And Kurt was sending her money, but she would use all the money on drugs. So then Kurt gave her an ultimatum. So you got to move back up here to Pittsburgh, because she was in Texas. And you got to move back up here to Pittsburgh with Mom, and I'll take care of all your debt. He paid the $35,000 in debt that she was in. And
bruh.
And things seemed to be working out for a while, but then she relapsed, and she went back on there. And he says, "Look, if you don't get clean, I'm not talking to you ever again." And she didn't get clean, and she ended up dying of a heroin overdose.
8 months.
8 months later. Right on the night before he had to go have an Iron Man match with Brock Lesnar in 2003. I remember that match. That was a damn good match, too. And just seeing the pain that was on his face, and I was like, that's just heavy. That's very heavy. You lost your dad. You lost your coach. You lost your sister. You got a broken neck that just can't be healed the right way.
Yeah, your first wife left.
Yeah. Because they didn't get to that, but
they did not talk about her at all. Completely skipped. Yeah. Like, I was a little afraid they wasn't even going to talk about the first batch of kids.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I hit the microphone. Yeah. So his drug problem just gets worse, and Gianna, his wife, when he was in jail, called her and says, "Look, I'm gonna give you one more chance, but if you keep doing this, me and the kids is out of here." And you got to just threaten them with the kids, and he had to work to really try to get his life back. And like I said, it's been hard. He was talking about him going to withdrawal. He went through withdrawal for 5 days.
My thing, though, the crazier part of that was him saying that he woke up every morning in withdrawal and was just taking like 20 pills. Yeah,
on the side, yeah. That's insane. I'm like, going through withdrawal. First of all, I have never been on those kind of drugs to the point where I've been so dependent I gotta go through withdrawal.
Yeah.
But I've read about it, I've just seen people, it just looks like an experience that I do not ever want to experience.
No.
I never want to experience that kind of stuff. And to go through it for 5 days when your body is really just like, I need this stuff. I need this stuff, and you guys just give me some kind of so I can just function, because I've been so dependent on it up to so far. That's just crazy.
5 days is crazy. That might be typical, because I'm not a person who deals with addiction, but 5 days seems incredibly long.
It does. But he did end up getting clean back up, got to the Hall of Fame. He had his retirement match against Corbin. Should have been seen it. I'm not getting into it. And overall, I just think that it was a really well done documentary.
Same. I said this when we finished. Sometimes I think less is more. Like, just keeping it simple. You just have folks that talking heads come in and talking about you talking about you and your family. I think that was the simple approach worked very well for this.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'd also just think, humility and being open about your struggles. For me, that's always a win because I'm always somebody who tries to talk about. Look, I try to preach that own your shit. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And I'm the same way. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You got to own up to that, and because people are going to make mistakes, so you should do that. So I recommend anybody go out there check out that Kurt Angle documentary. It's really good. You can learn a lot from it. So
where is streaming?
Yeah. Oh, it's true. Oh, it's streaming on Peacock.
Yes, I'm telling you for the.
Oh yeah, for Peacock, but it's true. It's damn true.
It's damn true.